Everyone. We're going to start out with a little enlightenment time, and that means we lighten up a little bit. Let the curves of our mouths come up and go down. Okay, so there once was an attorney, and she was opening a new office. And she wanted to make sure everything was just right. And she saw someone come into the reception area. She wanted to put on a really good impression. So she let this man wait for a while. And she pretended to take some phone calls. And then she put someone else on hold, and then she took another call and put them on hold. And all the time, this man was out in the reception room. Finally, she decided she had impressed him enough. And she went out and said, "How may I help you?" And he said, "Look, lady, I'm from the phone company. I'm here to connect your phones." So, when I think about that story, we can try to fool some people. It's impossible to get by with anything with universal law. The universe knows everything about us and supports us anyway. Now that's saying something. The universe, divine mind as we call it in our teaching, knows everything about us and conspires to support us. Not just is willing to, but actually conspires to support us in all that we do. And I saw an ad from a mattress company. It says, "We support you no matter what you do." So that's sort of like it is. I also want to make a point about the reading Bruce did when he mentioned the Father. I want to clarify that in Science of Mind teaching, when we speak of the Father, or when Jesus from the Bible said, "It is the Father in me that doeth the work," in the Science of Mind teaching, that means it's divine mind or universal law which does the work. So our teaching is that it's not the Father that's out there somewhere floating on a cloud that we have to impress. The only thing we need to impress is a neutral, universal law, and the way we impress it is through our thoughts and our feelings. And we're going to be talking about that as part of Science of Mind. This week I had an experience that I want to share with you because I think it's very timely in knowing that the Father and I are one, meaning divine mind is one with our subjective mind. In our teaching, we call subjective mind the neutral law, so to speak, and what we place into this neutral law tends to manifest. Some people have called it create your own reality. It's sort of a mainstream thing now, but originally started with groups such as Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind and the Transcendentalist writers and so forth. What happened was, I have automatic deposit set up in one of my bank accounts because I teach in a global graduate school. I teach spiritual psychology at a global graduate school based in Palo Alto, California. And it happens that currently I'm not teaching. I have some time off, and I'll pick up another course in January with a new group of students. It's a fascinating thing. These students are from all over the world. And what I get to do is hold them sort of as a cosmic container as they go through their whole year of study. And they do different kinds of things as a spiritual practice. And then they share it and report on it. It's beautiful. I love it. I would do it anyway if I didn't get paid. Yeah. So what happened was I noticed in my bank account there was a deposit from Sophia University. And I thought, well, maybe it was money that they owed me from a previous term. So I didn't pay too much attention to that one. Then in 2 weeks, another deposit showed up. And I thought, maybe I need to contact them and get this sort of straightened out. Or am I supposed to be teaching and don't know it? All this stuff was going through my mind. Well, when the third deposit came, I knew I had to give it some attention. So I emailed the chair of the department and I said, what's going on? She said, I don't know, you're not scheduled to teach until January. Contact the accounting office. So I contacted the accounting office, and in their records, and they even showed me, they had me scheduled as teaching this term. But we got it straightened out, so we set up a plan, and I'll have the first check to send them back. Now, the point of my telling you this story is if I didn't know better, I would have kept the money. The chairman of the department didn't realize what was going on. She had no idea I was being paid for this term, and probably never would have. Accounting didn't know that this was going on, but guess who knew? Universal mind. The universe knew. So this is the teaching. When something occurs out of balance in this way, and you know it, even if it's an extra nickel in grocery change, to your benefit, you need to straighten it out. You need to get it back in balance. Because if you don't, somehow the universe is going to take that money from you, and it may be more than what you would have paid back. There's a balance. There's a balance of justice in the universe. And when we, as Maya Angelou, one of the quotes that came around so often, when you know better, you're going to do better. Well, sometimes when we don't know better, or when we don't understand the laws of the universe, things show up in our face. For some reason, we may lose some money. Something may happen that we have to spend a lot of money on something that we didn't expect. See, there's this justice in the universe. So, since I knew that, I had no choice but to return that money. So I'm just sharing that with you in our daily lives for us to be aware of those things. And as we give money, we create a vacuum, and it comes back to us somehow. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the form of money. It could be in other things, other good coming to us. But when we give, we receive. That's the first spiritual law of success that Deepak Chopra talks about in his wonderful little book, 7 Laws of Spiritual Success. The very first one is giving. And to give lovingly. Even if he gives an example, if you've been invited to dinner, take a flower. Give a compliment. Just make that your life. And that goes into gratitude as well, which we're going to be talking about today. The gratitude. So this month we're talking about what is called the spiritual mind treatment, or affirmative prayer, or scientific prayer. And we're on the 4th step this Sunday. Let me just quickly review for those who weren't here. This is a formula for affirmative prayer. And there are books that you can get to help you. Here, this is mine. It's The Divine Done Deal. There's another one, Steps to Freedom, which was written by John Waterhouse. And there are several books to help you, but briefly what it is, you start out acknowledging and recognizing that there's only one power and presence. One power and presence. So in our teaching, we don't believe in a duality. So there's not some presence pulling for good and a duality that's pulling for evil. We recognize that there's only one power and presence. It is good. So even though you don't believe it sometimes, everything that happens to you is good. Only good comes from whatever has happened to you. Even if it's just to get your attention. Sometimes we need a spiritual 2x4 for the universe to get our attention, to pay attention to what's going on within ourselves. But ideally, we don't want that spiritual 2x4. Ideally, if we know what the laws of the universe are and live by them, we can avoid the 2x4s. Okay, so we say that God is all there is and everywhere present, which means that the one power and presence, which we call God, the force, you can call it whatever you want to, is within each one of us because it's everywhere present. So whether you like it or not, all of the power of the universe is expressing through you. Through you. And you have an obligation and to do with it what you will. Scary, isn't it? You have that freedom to do with this one power and presence what you will, as long as it doesn't harm anyone or yourself. It's almost a spiritual obligation to do good for yourself and others. So the first step is to recognize the presence. The second is to know that this presence is expressing in, through, and as you. Third would be the step of affirming what is it that you desire in life, in the sense that you already have it. Now that's the catchy part. I grew up in a very traditional Christian church, and the feeling I got, other than Jesus loves me, was that there was something outside myself that I had to seek for. That, it was then when I got into the science of mind new thought teaching, it took me a long time to realize that this God that I heard about in my early years was expressing in, as, and through me. See, it's the Father in me that doeth the work. It's the universal law that's doing the work. So, well, if universal law is doing the work, then do I have to do anything? Well, you better. Because you can watch your thoughts. Anybody here have a thought you wish didn't happen? I bet so. And then guess what? It happens. And you may or may not be conscious that you thought that. But if you pay attention to what's going on in your life now, you have a good indication of what your thoughts and feelings are. Because your life is a manifestation of it. So, the third step then is the affirmation or the realization. I like the word realization because it reminds me that what I am stating is already real. You have to claim it as being present in your life now. That's the big secret of the universe, or it's called a secret. It's not really a secret. It's being taught for centuries. But it's the truth of the universe. Now, once we accept it as being our good now, we can be grateful. And that's our fourth step, which we'll talk about further today. We can be grateful because it's already happening in our life. And you say, well, that sounds pretty good, but I've been praying for this for years and it hadn't come. Someone asked Ernest Holmes once, how long do you do these prayers? He said, till you see the effects. Till you see the effects, because you see everything is cause and effect. If we don't see the results that we're looking for, then there's something in us that's not believing it. There's something in us, maybe, just maybe, that thinks it's too good to be true for you. Do you ever think that way? Oh, yeah, well, it's, good for Oprah Winfrey or Bill Gates, but it's too good to be true for me. If you think that, guess what? The universe says, okay, it's too good to be true for Nancy. So what we need to do is to claim that, you see, as our own good. And one way we can claim it is to be grateful for it. Now, I suggest this many times, and some of you may be doing it, but get a little spiral notebook, and in the morning write down at least 3 times, some people I know do 10, 3 things that you're grateful for. And what I found when I did it, I moved from being grateful for the visible things that I could see in my life to being grateful for the invisible things that I'm inviting to come into my life. You see, when we're grateful for the invisible things that haven't physically appeared yet, it's an invitation. The universe says, okay, Nancy, really? She's already grateful for this. I better get off my booty and get it to her. So and to live a life of gratitude, to be grateful for everything in your life, even if it doesn't appear to be good. The first step to change is awareness. It's my good guru, Dr. Phil, talking. He uses that phrase a lot. The first step to change is awareness. So if we do get the spiritual 2x4, be thankful for it. It's a way of telling you to pay attention. It's a road sign. There are many road signs that we have in our lives. Sometimes some we pay attention to and some we ignore and then later wish we'd paid attention to. Anybody have that experience? Yeah, that's how it works. So to go through life with this attitude of gratitude is one of the most wonderful things that you can do for yourself and for others, but for yourself. To go through life with a sense of gratitude for whatever comes to you, even though you can't see why you should be grateful for it. Because what it does is clear. See, when we accept things the way they are, and Brian Katie is a good person. She works with this technique a lot. When we are grateful for where we are in our life now, that's also an invitation, you see, for the universe to give us more of what we're grateful for. In a good way, in a good sense. Now you may be thinking, does that mean if I'm discontent with something and I'm grateful for it, I'm going to be stuck with it? No. You were thinking that, weren't you? I know. Yeah, I could tell. I haven't told anybody this, but I'm really a mind reader. No. So that doesn't mean that you're going to be stuck with it. It means you're willing to look at it, bless it and release it, and move on to your greater good. See, the more we resent something or resist something or unhappy about something, we're closing ourselves off to more good. So we don't want to live that way. We want to live in gratitude. First, maybe for what you have, the good that you can actually see, and then be grateful for the good, the ever-increasing good that's coming to you. Be grateful for that ever-increasing good that's coming to you. And when you do that, you're open. I want you just to feel, I want you to choose one thing, and this is an experiment in your feeling. Just choose one thing that you desire to either change or appear in your life, whatever it is. Just get it in mind. Just one thing. I know there are many, but just one. Okay, now, see yourself already in that manifestation. It's here. It's here. Wow. Be grateful for it. I am so grateful. Whatever it is now in my life. And feel that. Feel it. Feel your gratitude expressing. I bet you feel lighter than you did 5 minutes ago. Because, see, you've already invited this greater good of your choosing into your life. Into your life. And then the last step, since this is being grateful and we know it's done, we can release it. What do you mean, let go? I better worry about this some more. It's never going to happen. You see, some people think that worry is helping something appear in their life. And it's just the opposite. Worry is a negation of your good. Worry is something that you're putting out to the universe that you don't really believe all this stuff. So after you do your affirmative prayer, for your own sake, don't say, gee, I hope it happens. Because that's a negation of the whole thing. And if you find yourself saying that or feeling it, I suggest you start all over. It may take many times to get to the point where you're actually feeling that and releasing it to the law. You see, the law always says yes. Universal law always says yes. So whatever it is you release to the law automatically happens. So it's our job to stay in tune with the universe and in tune with ourselves. To know that God's all there is, that God is an expression through us, that whatever we put in divine mind happens. We can be grateful that this is so, and then we can release it. We've done our part. Except, it doesn't mean we can lie back in a hammock sipping a mint julep and wait for it to come. It's our job then, you see, to listen to our intuition, to know what it is we should move forth in. You do your prayer work and then move on your intuition as it comes to you. And that's it for today, folks. And so it is.